The NBA deadline is upon us once again. We've already seen one major move in the NBA today with James Harden getting shipped once again with his fourth trade demand of his 17-year career, going from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Darius Garland. We've had a bombshell news report come out earlier today that LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron will not be back with the team next season, which leads to speculation, is he going to be moved before the deadline? So in order to go through everything, I wanted to interview a true Lakers expert and basketball expert. So we sat down last week with Gerald Glassford, who's the founder and content creator for Lakers Fast Break. And as always on the Stephan Piscano podcast, we did not just talk sports. We talked entrepreneurship. We talked about what it takes to build a YouTube base from the ground up. In Gerald's case, he's been developing Lakers Fast Break for going on 7-8 years now. And it's a grind, guys. And if you're an entrepreneur, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you started a fruit and salad stand. I don't care if you're a YouTube content creator, if you're a real estate investor. I don't care what you do. If you built it from the ground up, I want to talk to you. I want to showcase you. And if you are someone that has never had struggles as an entrepreneur, then you are not an entrepreneur. If you're somebody who doesn't know what it's like to have to choose between putting food on your table or making payroll, if you've never had to experience true scary moments with your business, if you've never had to experience the ups and downs and the roller coasters that go into getting any idea off the ground and taking it from a concept to action and then keeping it in action again and again and then experiencing the first and the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth levels of growth and so on and so forth until the day you die, if you have never written a check for the privilege to get to work 16, 18-hour days on an idea or a project or a business that you're passionate about, then you don't know what it means to be an entrepreneur. And so that's why on this program, we like to showcase not only the successes, the ups and downs, the grind, the dedication, and the devotion that it takes to create and cultivate any successful small business. And yes, sir, if you are a YouTube content creator in 2026, you are a small business owner. And Gerald Glassford's a great example of that. Really love his channel, really love the work he puts into it, his work ethic, and everybody associated with his team. So it was an honor to get to spend an hour and a half with him. If you don't care about the entrepreneurial side of things and you just want to get straight into the sport, feel free to skip to about the 42-minute marker. But I think you're going to really enjoy the whole conversation. Special thanks to Gerald again for taking the time to sit down with me and have this discussion. And again, I don't really care if you subscribe to my channel. I just do this for fun. But I really hope if you're a diehard sports fan like I am, especially if you love the Lakers, please check out Lakers Fast Break. It's a great channel. They really do in-depth coverage. They're live after every single Lakers game. They do content daily throughout the course of the basketball season. And any sports fan would be lucky to get to be a part of their community, and they'll welcome you just as they've welcomed. Thank you guys so much and welcome as always. This is Stephan Piscano with the Stephan Piscano podcast. My guest today is Gerald Glassford. He is the founder and content creator for Lakers Fast Break and many other platforms on YouTube, which I want to explore. He's been covering the Lakers and sports in general for several years, and I have become a big fan of his content on the YouTube platform specifically. So without me buttering you up too much here, Gerald, thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to the platform.
I appreciate the time. Thank you for the kind words. It's truly appreciated when you can get any kind of support at all out there, and I really look forward to our conversation.
Well, and it's funny you said it like that, too, because that's where I wanted to start with you. We've gotten to know each other just engaging on your platform on YouTube and the live streams that you do after every Laker game. And I'm a diehard Laker fan for my whole life, and so I spend a lot of time watching that type of content, but I came across your channel, which again is Lakers Fast Break. I highly recommend it to anybody who is a Lakers fan to check that out, YouTube or other platforms. But the very first time I came in on your live stream, I think one of your guests, your frequent guests or partners, Joe Soro, was on. He was rambling about something with avocados or something. And I typed, as soon as I got in there, I was like, what is going on? And then you responded to me. And you said, I have no idea what's going on either. And I just immediately kind of fell in love with your style. And it's so inclusive. And I promise I'm going somewhere with my long-winded rambling here. But what have you always cultivated the type of inclusion from your audience? Because it feels like you welcomed me right from the beginning without knowing anything about me or who I am. And it seems like everyone that's on your live streams, they kind of become a friend of yours and the show. And it's a very inclusive environment. It makes it a lot of fun. But where did that stem from? And is that by accident or did you cultivate that?
Well, it's taken a long time to cultivate that, as you say, over the course of doing this. Was 6 years, wait, actually 7 years, going on 7 years this year of the Lakers Fast Break, but closer to, well, 2009 is when I started podcasting, indeed. But I will say, this is one of the larger audiences on a regular basis that we had. And I know for a fact, I'm always keeping cognizant when I do my shows, whether it's the Pop Culture Cosmos, whether it's the Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, my previous work with other shows and things like that. I'm always cognizant of the fact that you can always turn the channel very easily with this right here. You just go ahead, you click, you move on. And I know that for the fact that when I bring a guy like Joe on, I know he could be very divisive. I know he could be very opinionated, and some people are drawn to it. Some people are drawn away from it. So I like to provide a little bit of a difference with that as far as my perspective on things. But I also know, again, it all goes back to the fact that I know as a consumer, you can go instantly somewhere else. And, just the fact that when I see with the software technology we have, I can see when somebody is new to the chat, that's a name that pops up. I try to go ahead and make it a point to welcome, because I don't know how much longer I will be able to do it, because the goal is to reach those kind of numbers where, quite honestly, the chat does become very hard to read, where it just becomes so fast, so populated. Unmanageable. Yes, it's hard to manage. So you will lose touch with new viewers that come into there. I don't like doing that. I don't like that prospect, but in order to be in the level that I needed to be, any one of my channels or all of my channels, I need to go ahead and get to that point. But until I get to that point, I try to make sure I accommodate as many viewers by acknowledging them, whether I disagree or agree with their opinions. At least
you disagree with me a lot, Gerald, by the way.
But I try to do it in a somewhat respectable fashion.
You always do.
There's one thing that we disagree on the most, and I know that you'll be touching on it here soon enough. But I try to at least be respectful, whether or not I agree or disagree with your opinion. But I like to always the fact that you're there, whether, as long as you're not coming in and I guess making the chat a worse place to be. If you're coming in and providing questions, comments, but it's enhancing the conversation, I am very grateful for that. And I believe that you've come in to our chat and been a very positive from day one. And I'm just so appreciative of that. And I try to acknowledge that as much as I can. We may not always agree on everything. I don't agree on anything with any one of my regulars that come on the show. But the thing is, I do appreciate you being there. And I know that Joe sickens, like he will always say, oh, you thank everybody, you thank blah, 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 blah. And he'll just get so angry that I thank everybody or try to mock me or whatnot. But that's been me my whole life. Whether it is whatever manner that I've been working in or being in, I know that you don't have to be here in front of my face. You have other choices in life to do other things in life. So I appreciate and acknowledge you being here at this point in time.
No, well, and thank you for doing it for all of us, my friend. And it comes across as very genuine, and you just seem like a very nice guy, and honestly, and very knowledgeable in this field. And so that was you kind of answered one of my next questions. I don't know if you know anything about my show, but we started really because my background in real estate and more entrepreneurial focused and that kind of thing. And it just so happens I also in my private life am an obsessive sports fan. So in my personal time, all I watch is sports. But when I find somebody like you, I'm fascinated by the sports, but I'm also fascinated by the entrepreneurial side of it. And we're about the same age, same generation. And this YouTube era that we're in here is really fascinating to me because it's both good and bad. It's good in the sense that you can give anybody that has something to say can have a voice, right? Immediately you can have that voice. But it's also because there's so many voices out there and so many choices, like you alluded to, sometimes it's hard to to get quality content too. And I feel like you are quality content. I think, and if I can just tell you, as somebody that only watches sports content on TV or YouTube, I genuinely think, even though we disagree about some things, we agree about some others, I think you have the most fair and balanced coverage of the Los Angeles Lakers specifically, and of LeBron James specifically, which is hard to do.
Well, and that's the thing that might be a detriment to our show at times, because if I'm the reason why I started Lakers Fast Break, because I was listening to some other shows in 2017, 2018, 2019 Laker centric shows, and most of them I just find substandard. I just don't find them appealing in any ways as far as what they want to give to me. They don't give me the honest opinions I'm looking for. They sometimes tell me what I would like to hear instead of what I need to hear. I ask anybody who comes up on the stage, just tell me from your heart how you feel. Don't tell me what you think you would like to hear, or the audience to hear. Just tell me what you feel. Tell me what you want to say. And that's what I'm looking for. And that's what I try to express as well. I try on the Lakers Fast Break to be everything as far as that type of individual that's giving you that type of feedback. I call it like I see it. That's basically what I tell a lot of people. You may not like what I say, but you know what? You got to respect it, because I try to respect you in turn. If you tell me something, whatever it is, your opinion on the Lakers is how you feel.
Yeah, I will say this too, even though you come across as a very nice guy, you can mix it up a little bit. I've seen you mix it up a little bit when you're passionate about something there.
But certain times, Lakers fans, we are very passionate about things. But the only really thing that irritates me is, don't call me out for my Lakers fandom. If I tell you that a Lakers player is playing bad, it's not because I want them to play bad. It's because they're playing bad. And if I tell you this and you're saying, well, you're just a Lakers hater, what would you want me to say? Would you want me to lie to you? Because there are other shows I will invite you to go check out, which will lie to you, tell you to your face the wrong things, and will lead you down a different slope that doesn't really give you the truth, but will tell you what you want to hear. And I can't do that. I just don't like that of a personal level. And that's again, one of the main reasons I started this channel in the first place in 2019.
And that's what I love about, again, going back to the entrepreneurial side of it. I find that the most successful people and ventures that I found weren't because someone set out trying to make money. It was because it was something that they were personally passionate about. They had a direct need that they needed to solve for themselves. And in solving it for themselves, they solve it for other people too.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, well said. Excellent, well said. And again, I hope to follow in those footsteps. Now, would I like this channel to have the kind of reach and the ability to generate the kind of revenue that I think that the time that I put in it, of course, Joe puts into it.
Yeah, both of you guys.
John Costa. Puts into it. All these guys that work so hard behind the scenes for their own channels and stop in and chat with you guys for nearly 2 hours each and every time out. That, again, I would love to be in a position to do that. But again, it always is up to you guys. It's always up to you guys whether or not you like the content enough to share, to let people know, to come back, to do all the stuff that YouTube requires you to do, and to hopefully broaden the audience even more in the future.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, going back to the YouTube algorithm specifically, and just the amount of content that's out there now, and the way people's brains are kind of getting trained for the short form content too. It's hard for a small channel to break through. I mean, it really, and you can't, that's one thing I've found, is you can't fake it really. You have to, almost feels like you have to get lucky to some extent with the algorithm, because there's not a third party system that I've found where you can legitimately pay for advertising. You just have to hit the algorithm. So you are putting in, and just for people that aren't familiar with Lakers Fast Break and your channel and the guests that you mentioned that you frequently have on, you guys are on every game for hours. I'm blown away by your work ethic. And I'm sure in my podcast, we've had a little bit of traction with it here. I mean, and the YouTube, but it's really a passion project for me. I'm paying money, just like, you might be too, I don't know. But I'm paying money to do it just because I have opinions that I want to get out there, and I have the digital marketing background. And so it's fun for me to some extent. But even with that, I know how much editing goes into the back end if you're doing a long form video. I mean, there's a lot of stuff people don't see too. And I really admire during those early stages with any business, putting in that time when you're not getting that big check. What's that grind like? How do you stay motivated when you know you're doing good stuff? You know the people that are seeing it love it because they do. I mean, they really do. How do you motivate yourself if the YouTube algorithm just decides not to show a video one day or shows it to 60 people or whatever it is?
That's a hard question. That's a really good question because it is very hard to stay motivated. Again, if you look at my channel, the first thing you'll see when you look under the line of Lakers Fast Break is 2,000. That's the number. That's over the number of videos that I've done for that channel, 2,000 plus. And in order to do that, you've got to have a motivation, not just to talk about the Lakers, but to continue to do this. But, you know, I have been on that other end of the spectrum where you see videos and you do work hard on videos and you think you've done a really good job and you think you have something that people, if it was only presented out there in a light where people could see it, that it would actually resonate, but you see it only gets 10 views, 15 views, 30 views. And it's just, it is deflating. It's absolutely deflating. But for me, I could just say that a lot of times I just enjoy interacting with the people. That's part of my motivation. Is the Lakers fan base, as vitriolic as it can be sometimes, and boy, can it be at sometimes, can also be a lot of fun to deal with. And those are the days I really enjoy doing it. And you know, whether you pay me or not, it's actually a lot of fun to do regardless. But the days that I keep going with is just because it's sometimes that note that says great job, that comment after the show that says you guys did a really great job breaking down the game, thank you for doing this. You know, those things, those comments every once in a while keep me going, keep Joe and I into it, keep us continuing on with what we're doing. John Costa, same thing. And it allows us to the motivation to continue. Plus also as well, I just like talking to the guys.
Yeah.
I really like my conversations with John. Joe, off camera, you know, again, Joe is Joe. He is a character both on and off the camera, but I do enjoy my time with him on the camera for the most part when we're not insulting each other. But even when we are insulting each other, sometimes it's fun. But when Mark, you know, just the fact I'm able to go ahead and speak to people regularly from around the world, and I don't take that for granted. I converse with several Australians, which I never thought I would do when I got into podcasting. If you told me when I started podcasting in 2009, I would be speaking regularly or interviewing regularly or conversing regularly with people in Asia, Australia, the Philippines, I guess Eastern Europe, Brazil, you know, South America, you know, Canada. I'm speaking to people all around the world on a regular basis. The entire map of the U.S. It is amazing what kind of reach this has. And that also helps me as a motivator as well to continue to do this and continue to have these conversations going forward.
That's where the passion comes in, like we were talking about, right? I mean, I interviewed do you remember Matthew Lesko, the question mark suit guy? He was the guy in the 90s, was running around with a bright suit. Yeah, government grant.
Yes.
I interviewed him last year, I guess the year before. And I asked him, because he's 81 years old and still going. And I said, well, how do you keep yourself motivated? Just like I asked. And he said, you got to love what you do because that gets you through the shit, in his words, not mine. And you look behind you at your wall there and you can see this is what you're passionate about. So and you guys are getting great traction though, really, right? I mean, I look at some of the view numbers and I love statistics. So for me, that's interesting. And your live streams do extremely well.
We, to be honest with you, I mean, you actually look up these numbers as well, but you can actually go to YouTube and see that our show has done over 700,000 lifetime views. We're at 1 million. As far as views and audio downloads overall, which, you know, is great. And I truly welcome that. But as far as, you know, do you make a living? How much you make on this? How you're living? You know, because you also see the super chats and whatnot. You've been very gracious to give me a super chat. And the thing is, again, it's not a living for me. It's not even close to being a living. Yeah. I mean, if you see what I will put on my tax return at the end of the day, you'd be wondering how I eat at the end of the day, because it's a feast or famine. It is simply a feast or famine. And I've been very honest. I tell people out there from time to time, like and subscribe and all that stuff. You always tell people out there, but if you really want us to keep doing this long term, because eventually at some point, if we're doing this, for a relatively low price or free in some cases, at some point, some other things in life are going to get in the way, and we're going to have to prioritize whether we want to continue to do this or not.
Yeah.
And at what we make or what I make for it, and what Joe does for it, which is zero, and what John Costa does for it, it's so hard for us to continue to commit because, our families, whatever commitment, because they know what we do. They know how much we get from it. They know how much we don't get from it. And that's why we tell these people out there that like our show to get the word out there. We need to have, or we need to be a part of that community that has the feast and not the famine. The Laker nations of the world, the Jovan Buhaj, who recently left the Athletic to do his own thing, is seeing the kind of success that is sustainable for him. But you need not just hundreds of views, you need, or even low thousands of views, you need tens of thousands of views, tens of thousands of subscribers. Yes, just to sustain a living. I mean, I can tell you right now, the largest video I've done on the Lakers with ads is the Dalton Connect rescinded trade video. That's
the really? I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay.
Yeah, I did one on the Sphere, but that one was not monetized.
Oh, I watched that one actually.
That one's got a huge as far as on both my channels, but that the largest paid one I've ever done is Dalton Connect. That one has, I don't know, whatever you guys see it on there, 5,000-6,000 views. That one, I think, garnered with all the stuff that made from it, I think $50.
No kidding.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, to give you an idea, that one has it. So you could do the math on what I normally do between 500 to 1,200 views on a normal video. Just the math on that, and go and get yourself accordingly as far as what I usually do on a regular basis. But remember, YouTube takes a cut of everything that you do. All the ad money, any super chat money, anything like that goes a portion goes always to YouTube.
Gosh, that's interesting. And I'm really was curious about that, and I wasn't going to ask that because I figured that's your business.
More than happy to tell. I'm more than happy to tell people because I know I'm not making 100,000 a year. I know I'm not making 50,000 a year or 40,000 a year or 20. I'm not even that. I'm not even close to those kind of numbers. Again, this is just a side gig for now. But one day, I'm hopeful that the Lakers Fast Break will evolve into something that's no longer paying like a very, very small side gig.
Yeah, well, and you've got a great infrastructure too. It reminds, I'm a big Bill Simmons fan, as I'm guessing you may or may not be as well.
I am, because he's a Boston Celtics fan. No,
well, he's also a diehard LeBron James junkie, so I don't agree with a lot of his opinions because I'm a Kobe guy and I'm not a fan of LeBron at all.
But I can't argue with his success, and especially the fact that he's now hopped on to Netflix and now is privy to that huge 325 million subscriber audience. That is no one should ever underestimate his intelligence and how he was able to go from writing funny stories on Grantland to what he is doing right now.
Yeah, from a business perspective and just kind of like yourself, I mean, he's just, to me, he's just likable. But the reason I bring him up is your infrastructure that it feels like you've got here reminds me of The Ringer, what he built there, because you've got the pop culture cosmos, you've got the Lakers. It looks like you're interested in covering not just sport, and you are covering not just sports, but you're covering other things as well.
Well, that's what I started off with. In 2009, I started a video game podcast called Game Source, and it went for several years, off and on. It's not as consistent as I should have made it and would have made it, but Around 2015, I was going to getting my bachelor's degree at National University, and I met a fellow classmate online. His name was Josh Peterson. And we were doing shows on Game Source, and I said, our conversations always steered towards not just video games, but pop culture. We talked about movies. We talked about what's going on television. It's just always like Joe does. Like when you hear Joe Soro, he'll talk about the Lakers, and then he'll end up talking about avocados for 15 minutes. He'll just veer off on that. And that's what we were doing. So I said, look, I think we should need to structure a 1-hour show talking about a whole myriad of pop culture topics. And it turned out to be something that he liked and I liked, and we're still doing it to this day. We're coming up on our 500th episode. We've been doing it for 490 weeks straight. I'm just so blessed to have him. And then I also have my Friday host for the show, TJ Johnson, coming in and doing many episodes too. But the reason why I was going to get to the Lakers Fast Break here in a second, but we decided to syndicate that show out to try that because it was a 1-hour clean show on pop culture. So we at one time had it syndicated out to over 80 radio stations around the world. It was really popular during the pandemic. I had thousands of listeners for downloads on that. That show is more audio download driven and radio station driven for that one, for the Cosmos. But yeah, it was really something. But I just enjoyed talking with him about what's going on in pop culture. These are conversations I can't always have with my friends or family here in Vegas. So I said, I want to go ahead and start mixing some sports things in from time to time. So I did that. And one of the things I integrated in from time to time was NBA talk. And I integrated NBA talk, NBA draft talk. And then it just evolved as far as, I'm such a huge Lakers fan. I've been following the team since 1977. I tell you the story, and everybody knows the story, that I was born in May of 1969, which wasn't during the finals. I got to correct myself on the year when I said that, because it was actually June when the finals happened. But during the Lakers playoff run in 1969, I was born down the street in Inglewood, California, from the Forum.
Oh, wow.
And
you look young, by the way, my friend. I thought you were younger than that, but okay, that's good.
Well, thank you. I wish my daughters would say that, but they just tell me I'm old. But be that as it may, that I just wanted to do something more. And I was listening to these Lakers shows, and they were just so bad. And I think I made my decision. He's still doing like Lakers Lounge. What's his name that does Lakers Lounge? Anthony. I think
I don't think
his
I've
name.
seen that one, but okay.
Yeah, Anthony Irwin.
Oh, okay.
He was doing Locked On Lakers at the time. Which,
okay.
At the time, was the preeminent daily Lakers show, part of the Locked On network. So he was doing that, and he did this ad read, and he did it so bad. I mean, so bad. He was not only did it give me a fright from doing any ad reads on the Cosmos for like a year, but it also showed me, what? I think I can do a Lakers show better than him. I think I can really give something that people want. And I was able to do that in 2019. I said I was going to commit myself to doing, regular shows on the Lakers and commit to this channel. I started with a conversation and break, as far as with you guys out there, brought in Laker Tom from Lakerholics.com, who runs that site. Crazy Laker Tom. But we started our conversations. It was only supposed to be a 15 to 20 minute show. Lakers Fast Break, so you get your fast info Lakers, right?
That went out the window, brother.
Well, as soon as Laker Tom came on, that was it. That's all she wrote. Because Laker Tom, like Joe, loves to talk, which I'm doing now. But and I'm very cognizant of that. And
no, that's good.
Laker Tom again, but I wanted more. So I wanted to reach out to the community. And something I haven't done, I'll probably do again this summer, is reach out to more people in the community. So, but at that time in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, I reached out every single off season to Lakers platforms, Lakers chat boards, anybody who wanted to come on to go ahead and get their perspectives on the Lakers, along with what I do as far as reaching out to NBA reporters all around the world to get their perspectives on the NBA and the Lakers. So one day I reached out to this NBA board and I got this email back. He wasn't sure if we were legit, so he looked at us, and his name was Joe Soro. He had some background in radio, and he said, "You know what? I've been thinking about doing something like this for a while. I'll hop on." And the rest is history. And later on,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I picked up John Costa. I've had several different people that regularly come on the show as fellow hosts or guys right there as far as the panelists or whatever you guys want to call them. But yeah, I've just been so blessed to have so many great voices speak about the team we love.
Oh, that's great. And all that stuff you just said, that's the behind the scenes that we were talking about earlier that nobody sees, in addition to the several hours after every game on air. Yeah, that's incredible. But all of you guys, I said it kind of half joking in the chat the other night on your stream. I said, all three of you guys have media sounding names. Like when I first saw your show and saw Joe on there, I'm like, don't I know that guy from something? Wasn't he a baseball announcer or something? But I guess he's not, right?
No.
Okay.
He had a small period of time where he was on the radio doing a radio show, I think, in it was the San Diego area, but it was just a brief cup of coffee. For most of the part, he has run his company and built his company, Simblades, which is a artificial turf company, which he did for residential areas. I guess if you are a stadium and you wanted artificial turf, you could ask him, and I'm pretty sure he would fit the bill. But he does a tremendous job on that. And so, we tease each other, we yell at each other, we call each other names, whatever. But I will never disparage his work for his company, because you go to that page, simblaze.com, and you see all the stuff that he's done for people's homes in the Southern California area. And it's just like, that's some good stuff.
No, that's great. Well, and you guys do have great chemistry, really.
That's something that, despite the stuff he says that makes me kind of squirm in my chair at times. And the fact that we don't have always the same ideals, to say the least, especially outside or even inside the Lakers, and whatnot. I know that like you said, you could just feel that our chemistry, that we clicked. And then John coming in there, it clicks and it works. And then when we bring somebody else on, they want to stop by. It just feels like, because they know us, that it feels welcoming. And they're always, able to go ahead and share their opinion, like Mark did the other night from Australia.
That was great. I left a comment. That was beautiful.
That was from the heart. It was crazy. I'm not sure if he was sober when he was saying that, but you know what? He said it from the heart, and it was beautiful. And he was venting, and I may not agree with it, all of it, any of it, or part of it.
I agree with most of it. But yeah,
probably most of it per se, but it was beautiful to watch because it was from the heart. It's what he meant. And he was it's funny because how this team gets to people, like I'm sure the most passionate fans for any team, but he was the most positive coming into the season and during this season of any of our regulars. So don't pick on JJ, don't pick on Lakers are going to do you right, great. All of a sudden, he had his breaking point with this team because of their frustrating past 6 weeks, and he just went off like a firecracker, and that was beautiful to watch. And those moments, I hope, resonate with our audience and allows us the opportunity to grow to even something larger, so that more people can experience those moments as well.
Well, I can tell you, I was traveling, so I didn't see that. And just so people know what we're talking about, that was when the Lakers had a horrible loss the other night, and one of your most loyal viewers, Mark, aka Xbox, right?
Yes.
You brought him on the stream, and he vented on LeBron James and Rob Pelinka. That was the only part I didn't agree with, which we'll get to that shortly here. But kind of went on a rant. But I think that's one of the beautiful things, to the point what we're talking about here, is that your listeners so well. And like you said, hopefully, I hope, and pray for you that happens, to where you won't be able to know all. But right now, you know them well enough to where you can trust them to have them on air.
Yeah,
just kind of cool.
That's the thing. But there's also people that just will stop by. They'll randomly do the drive-by, and they'll see us. They'll disagree with us, or usually they'll disagree with Joe. And it comes to the fact that, okay, I want to come on here. I want to tell you guys, okay, you come on. We're not afraid of you. and we'll troll you just like you troll us. You want to share something? Come on, I'll send you a link. But the thing I won't do is I won't put it out there online. I'll email me. I need you to take that extra step. If you're really serious about doing it, come on and email me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Make that extra step. Don't give me this, okay. And then I just put up the link there, and then you just come on with a half-baked video cell phone camera, and then just blah blah, and then leave. No, you come on this show. You're going to come on this show, and you're going to do it the proper way. So all I say to people is, fine. You want to come on the show? Shoot me an email right now. And only on a couple of occasions have people done it. There was one guy named Kenneth who stops by every now and then, who was really at Joe, like in the first year, he was really adamant against Joe. But those two, to his credit, he came on the air, he and Joe hashed it out, and now they're the best of buddies whenever he stops on by. It's just
that's beautiful.
Weird in a way how that worked. But yeah, again, like, I don't mind you coming by, even if I don't know you, to share your Lakers opinions. You just have to go ahead and message me through the email. Let me know you're serious about it.
Well, it's kind of like radio in that way, right? Taking callers on the radio, I suppose.
Yes.
It's kind of I didn't even think about that aspect because I've never done a live stream, tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. So I've never had that experience with the interactions, but I guess you would have a large amount of people that aren't real, the internet, the keyboard warriors, I guess. You probably get a lot of that.
We have that. Well, you see in the chat.
I've seen.
Somebody, the people that take the time out of their day to create a profile to troll. We troll on them. And that's the part that I think against a lot of people, is that we don't just ignore you if you're doing some really inappropriate things or saying inappropriate things, we'll ignore you or we'll ban you right away. But if you're not, and if you're just trolling us, we'll troll you right back. Don't get us started with myself or Joe especially. If you say something to Joe and he just, whatever it is, or if you write something to Joe and he just doesn't like what you have to say, he'll call you out right to your face, right on the air. It doesn't matter if he's got 50 people or 500 people watching. He'll just do it because it ticks him off. And you know what? That's the thing. That's the thing with our show that I think that not a lot of other shows do, is because of the fact that these trolls that are out there, these people that have like 500 different profiles and they switch from different profile to different profile to a lot of work. It's so much work.
Yeah. Not to cut you off, but I just like the mentality, how weak-minded and just kind of sick you'd have to be to just spend your time doing that is bizarre to me. I can't even fathom it.
A lot of work for me. Too much work for me. If it involves any extra typing, I don't need it. I type enough during the day.
I have two more questions for you on the podcast side of things and the business side of things. Then we'll get into Lakers here, and then I'm going to convert you to become a Rob Pelinka fan at the end.
Oh, okay.
And that's something I didn't know with the Pop Culture Cosmos. I didn't realize that you had started that in 2009, but I am curious.
Well, actually, that one is 2016. I had a video game show called Game Source that was came out first, but then it evolved into the Pop Culture Cosmos in 2016.
Okay. You obviously not only remember it, you were in it. It feels like even as recently as 7, 8, 9 years ago, a podcast was looked at as a totally different thing. So now my background, other than real estate, I own a digital marketing company. I've hosted about 500 webinars, but I just started the podcast in 2024, and that was a new venture. But I remember 10 years ago being told I should start a podcast. I was like, I don't know. But now it's the thing to where everybody wants to have a podcast, but you've been in it the whole time. So I guess my long-winded question to you is, how has it evolved since 2009 and 2016? What's different? What's still the same?
Well, that's a great question. 2009, when first of all, 2008 and leading into 2009, what's a podcast? That was the common question. Yeah. That was like, what is a podcast? A podcast? What's a is that something that I need to eat, or is that a restaurant nearby or something? Yeah. That's the common thing that I saw. The recording equipment or what you had to do was a little bit cruder. The software wasn't as easily navigatable, for lack of a better word. And it was just a lot more rudimentary and crude. Like if, you can still find my first shows on GameSource out there on the internet, and you can hear the Dolby NR tape hiss from like his, circa 1993 or something, with my voice and all that, and some of the bad mics I was on at that time, because I just didn't have a full grasp of how to present myself or present the show I was doing in the best of light. But the conversations were always there, and that's the thing. If I found a way to have good, fun conversations that kept me stimulated and interested, and that's my goal when I do podcasting, is each and every night when I turn on that light and to go on the air, I want to have an interesting conversation. I don't always know where it's going to go. It could be structured and not structured.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But if I don't know exactly 100% where it's going to go, but I like where it ends up, that to me is the most rewarding thing. But like, getting back to your question, it's what's evolved over the years is just the ease in which you can now, anyone can do a podcast or share their thoughts and be heard in a clear and concise fashion, or be seen in a representative way, whether on whatever platform, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, whatever social media outlet, TikTok, Instagram, doesn't matter. You can now be heard in a myriad of ways. It was funny because, in the mid 2010s, there was like dozens and dozens of podcast hosts, as far as online hosts that you could upload to. And I switched my show from one to another, whatnot, whatever was giving the best deal or whatnot. And in the end, like we've seen with streaming on television, the big fish ate the little fish, and there are only a few options out there now as far as major options to go to. But I still appreciate the fact that I'm able to go onto a platform. I'm able to, with a push of a button, connect with people all around the world. That part is even better and even more reachable, because more people know how to access our shows and our podcasts ever before.
Yeah. And that part really is fun and incredible. And it's interesting for me because since I'm really grateful and love my day job, and my day job's so different from a lot of the things I'm talking about, including this conversation, I started telling people, look, I just interview people that I'm interested in, that I'm a fan of, that I want to have a good conversation with, which is why I'm grateful you're here right now. And it's kind of purely for the love of the game at that point. When did you really realize, because you had the podcast for several years on the platforms. Were you on YouTube right from the beginning on all these, or did you realize 6-7 years ago you needed to incorporate that, or when did that come in?
That is the biggest regret I have, is not being on YouTube in its infancy. When I was doing podcasts for the first 5-7 years, I was doing podcasts mainly for a audio audience, and I was uploading it to audio resources, or putting it on outlets like Facebook or even Twitch at that point in time, a little bit, which I do more now. I do on every show. But
well, you're hipper than me. I don't even know what Twitch is fully, be honest with you. I really don't.
Twitch is a streaming platform. It was I guess, grew rapidly and is one of the largest streaming platforms on the planet. But it started more as from the video game standpoint, video game streaming platform. People would watch other people play video games on the Twitch platform more than any other. But then it evolved into a full entertainment platform with shows. People do other, it's talk shows, other programming, and game streaming, music shows. They do a whole bunch of stuff now on Twitch that like outside of YouTube is almost as diversified as YouTube, but YouTube is just a little bit more diversified in what it does. But yeah, if I have one big regret, I should have got myself on board with YouTube right from the get-go, and I think I would be a little bit more successful today if I had the same kind of knowledge of how to run a clean, concise, quick, fast podcast, or even if it's 2 hours, but a production value like I have now with the Lakers Fast Break or Cosmos. And I was able to do that in 2009. I think I would be talking to you from a very different perspective on
Yeah.
my success in the podcasting medium, a lot differently if I would have understood that. It's like, I know this now, but what if I had known that before? Type of.
No, I know, and I kind of not to, but I can relate to that because I think the same. I mean, the only thing, having owned a digital marketing company that I started in 2010, during that window right there, it was so much easier to get subscribers, but I never thought of it as a platform that I cared if I had subscribers, you know? So I would just use it to showcase a property or whatever. And you'd accidentally get 150 subscribers without asking anybody to subscribe. And now you're putting out great stuff, you're begging, and you get 3 or 1 or 2. It's a different game. There's something that happened with either the volume of people on the platform or the algorithm itself or both, that it was a lot easier to get growth back then than it is now. And if you look at the people, even going all the way up to the top, like a Mr. Beast, the people that have for any type of genre, whether it's gun videos or video games or sports, the people that have those huge numbers are all people that started early and they were just there. They were at the top of the algorithm, top of the search mechanism, and then it continued to feed off of that. My humble opinion.
No, you're correct. I mean, they have the advantage. They jumped on board first, and everybody followed. And the problem is, not everybody that follows can achieve that same kind or even a similar kind of success. And it is so much harder to have someone jump in right now, and they've got to bring something different to the table. And it's so hard, like you said, because Google has blown up YouTube to the point where it's the largest watched entity on the planet, even more so than Netflix. And there's like it's more subject matter than anywhere on the planet as far as and for virtually any type of subject you could type in and find video or a plethora of videos on it. It is so hard for someone to come in here and bring a new angle to YouTube that will get people to watch. That's just the fact of life. But again, like I said, had I known what I know now, had I known what I known then, I would be in a lot different place today. I rest assured.
No, I hear you. Well, okay, I'll transition because I could talk to you for another hour about all this stuff, but I I don't want to take up too much of your time. So let's talk about the status of the current Lakers roster for a little bit here. My listeners that aren't familiar with Lakers Fast Break and haven't heard your thoughts, where do you think we are? We're getting ready to go into the All-Star break. We're coming up with the trade deadline here. In my humble opinion, I think we've either slightly exceeded expectations that we all had going into the season, or we're right at what we thought it would probably end up being, right around a 50-win pace. But what's your thoughts on the status of the Lakers right now? Where would you like to see improvement, and where are you most disappointed?
Well, to start off with, we do a poll, and you can find this in the notes section of our channel where people write notes for their channel. You can find every one of the regular panelists that stop on by, whether it's Legend from I Got Next Sports Media, Laker Tom, Jamie Sweet, the Lakerholics, everybody except for Joe, who I don't like to participate in these things, and I just like to shoot off my mouth, and just say I'm right later on down the line. That's what he'll tell you. But everybody else, I think it's over 13, 14 different prognostications. Almost all of them had the Lakers 4th, 5th, or 6th for the season. Mm-hmm. I had the team in 5th place, I believe, in the Western Conference, and they're right exactly where I thought they would be. Yeah. They're a flawed team. They could have, they chose, and again, I've said this on the show, and you've heard me say this on the show. Rich Paul, the Clutch CEO, the guy that LeBron leans on as his best friend and comrade, as far as the guy who helped set up the LeBron James Clutch empire. I don't agree with a lot of he says, or I don't agree with the timing of what he says. But the one thing he did say when LeBron picked up the option on his $52.6 million a year contract was that the Lakers were on 2 timelines. They want to be a competitive team now, but they also want to leave plenty of that beloved cap space open for the following summer or the following summer thereafter.
As they should.
Well, there's a problem with that. With the Lakers fan base that is 17 titles in, that sees Boston right there in front of them with 18, and is very pissed about the fact that they've gotten ahead of the Lakers as far as they're concerned. They want a title now. And if you wanted a title now, you needed to do more in the summer to get to that point. And we're seeing the effects of that.
I'm shifting now. I'm sucking up to you, Gerald, to loving debate, I'll call it. But this team, my opinion, and I think this season is you could not have a more perfect example of it. This team is never going to win another championship with LeBron James on the team, because he can't be on the team and not be a prominent top 2 option for it. And as long as he's a 35-minute, roughly per game player, top 2 option on offense, we're not going to win a title like that. It's not possible. There's no one we can add, especially with his $52.6 million salary, that can put us over the top. The best we could hope for is if we get a good draw and get lucky, maybe losing in the conference finals, but that's where we're at anyway.
Well, I say to that is, though, that back in June of last summer, when the decisions were still being made as far as how to build and shape this team, Rob Pelinka did have the time and opportunity and the cap space to make decisions going forward that could help the team. He could have made decisions based on what assets that he had to trade for players. Maybe that could have helped this team a lot better. I know a lot of people at that time, like myself, had said, for instance, I'll use an example. Getting guys like Trey Murphy III, a really hard look at seeing if that's the type of player that you could get at that time. Now he's played so well that ship has sailed. Herb Jones, along with him, as far as his teammate, that would have been an excellent type player. We saw then as a defensive stalwart that could have been an option. But again, the lack of interest in spending any excess money and getting 3 players. No, hold on. Good value players. And no one's going to argue with that, because they did get them. He did get them on good value deals.
Yeah.
But they're not players that are going to move the needle far enough in the direction of OKC. And that's where we're at now. I field questions all day long, literally all day long from around the world. Yeah. From people who are just adamant on trying every mock trade on the universe, but they don't get the fact that Rob Pelinka is on a certain timeline, and it does not look like he's going to deviate from it. Now, I'm hoping I'm wrong, just for the satisfaction of those people who want Rob to do something before the trade deadline. But
so you really think that's smart? You really? Hold on.
At this point, no. At this point, no. Unless Giannis Antetokounmpo comes knocking through that door, or New Orleans makes a bad deal and gives you gift wraps you Troy Murphy III and Herb Jones in a package deal, and gift wraps them to you. They go stupid like they did when they gave up their 2026 unprotected draft pick to Atlanta. Yeah. Those are the kind of, you're hoping for that, but unless that, Luka Doncic type deal comes walking through that door, I don't see making a big splash enough with whatever little trade assets we have left to.
It's not possible.
Really close that gap right now to OKC.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, and honestly, maybe this is how it's always been. This is an evolution for me, being somewhat new and very new, because I've really only I didn't realize this live chat stuff with live streams existed until about a year ago. And so it's been kind of fun for me getting to engage with other Lakers fans. And growing up originally in Alabama and then Oregon, my whole life, I've been used to being, and now living in the Bay Area in California, I've been a Laker fan kind of by myself. And I've always heard people talk about stupid Laker fans were, always demanding trades and all this. And I always like, what are you talking about? We're not like that. And to be honest with you, the last couple of years, I think we are kind of like that, because not just your stream. I used to go into the Laker Nation stream a lot. And it's just idiotic stuff. And this is who
they are. This is who we are around the world. You have to understand now. That's one thing I've learned and acquired in my years of doing this, is that, it's not just an isolated part of the fan base. It's a actual, sometimes unrealistic look from the fan base, because they want to win, but that's what happens when you get spoiled, Stephan. When you get spoiled, Stephan, when you're given the gold ring 17 times, guess what you want more than anything? That number 18. to go on.
And
your
we do
pinky.
have good stuff following our laps. We going all the way back to Wilt Chamberlain and Shaq and Luca now, and getting Magic with the first pick, Worthy with the first pick. I mean, we do have lucky stuff happen to us. So.
Oh, and it incenses other fans when you rub that in their face like that. And I try to not do that as much, but yeah, there are people out there who are incensed at the Lakers. And you know what? I can't say wrong. The Lakers have had a lot of luck. I mean, who knew when Rob would sit down with Nico Harrison for a dinner date that he would end up getting the opportunity to get Luka Doncic? Now, to your credit, to your boy's credit, he did get the deal done. And he got it done, with that. But those rare successes from him are a problem because his talent evaluation might have prevented from other championships being won. And I'll just leave it at that. But before you get to your next question, I got one question for you.
Okay, what do you got?
What do you think? Well, the Lakers have Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
How much do you value Luka Doncic? How good of an individual player do you think he is?
I mean, so and this is the thing, and before we've kind of already dipped our toe in the water, but before we really get into the Pelinka stuff, and I don't want this to be, I mean, it's occurred to me, I think I'm a pretty nice guy in real life, but it's occurred to me in some of my little silly videos and some of my podcasts that I come across more negative than I intend on LeBron James. So I don't want this to be a bash fest, and you really do cover him, I think, really fairly, because you're not Lakers. That's why I couldn't watch Laker Nation anymore, is I felt like it was just a LeBron James promo, like it was just like an infomercial. I just couldn't take it. You're positive when it's positive, and you're negative on the things that are negative. So I give you that respect and that credit for it, and I don't want to overly attack him. But the facts are the facts, and this isn't even the Pelinka stuff I'm talking about, but it kind of gets into that. We were 11-4 this year when he was sitting out. We started the season 11-4. Okay. LeBron, while that was happening, the LeBron supporters in the media were already teeing it up. Oh, wait till he gets back. All these haters are ready to say XYZ and all this stuff. And I went in, if you probably don't remember because you got a lot of people in there, but his first few games back, I was on your stream and in the chat, I said, I love the way he's playing right now. Third option. He was averaging like 14 points a game.
Sharing the ball more often.
Sharing the ball. And that was fine. But I knew it wasn't going to last, and it hasn't. And now what are we, 20? Are we 25 and 16 is off the top of my head, or are we 26?
26 and 16.
20. So that means since he's been back, we are 15 and 12.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 15.
Not impressive. Not impressive.
No.
He had to get his sea legs under him before he started feeling what he feels. And he is frustrating. He is one of the most divisive players in the history of the NBA. There's no two questions about it. And if you're a LeBron hater, I can see why. If you're a LeBron lover and a LeBron supporter, I can see why. It's so the thing I never I used to be a huge LeBron supporter. But that's just the noise, all the stuff he brings with him and does that's so unnecessary and so detrimental to a team concept. It's just so hard for me to grasp. And I know you see the GOAT canvas art behind me. That was actually graciously given to me by @TripToShop on Instagram and Twitter, because he is a huge LeBron supporter. And so out of respect, I put that up for him. But, LeBron James is just so divisive. But the reason why I ask you on Luka is because if you really value Luka, as someone who is in his prime now, that is one of the best players on the planet, my question is to Rob, why didn't you do more to build a team around him every single year?
Thank you for asking again, because believe it or not, my whole LeBron thing I just did was a long-winded. You remember, if you saw the Trump Joe Rogan interview and he said, I'm a weaver, Gerald. So I was weaving back to that. Yes, I think that Luka was universally regarded as a not top 5, but top 3 player before the trade. And I'm actually, if I ever have time to do it, I'm working on a video that I've been working on for like 6 months. I'm probably never going to put out if I do to get 25 views, but it's got clips of Bill Simmons and Nick Wright and all these guys and gals on all these networks and platforms saying that he was a top 2 or top 3 player before the trade. Then the trade happens. All of a sudden he's fat. He's a top 10 fringe player. This is what, and to your point about the noise with LeBron, this is what happens to people that are in LeBron's infrastructure. My defense of Pelinka's too is not like I just love Rob Pelinka. Tired of people in the infrastructure that need to be scapegoated so that LeBron James' failures as a player can be propped up. And that's what I think has happened to Luka. So yes, I think he was and still is a top 3 player in the NBA. I think it's insane the way the league's gotten, that we've got a guy that's almost averaging a 34-point triple-double, and it's just kind of like, no big deal. That's where we're at.
Our fan base on there. Half the crowd loves him, half the crowd hates him.
I know, but to me, and I think he proved that. I'm so grateful we got the opportunity to see it for 15 games to start this season, how beautiful this team could be. And now this is where I start to feel bad, because I know this is going into that LeBron hate area, and I'm really not trying to do that, but it's just true. I mean, and it's okay. The guy's 41 years old. He had an incredible career.
You know, that's something people don't put in perspective sometimes, is as much as we can piss on LeBron, for lack of a better term, sometimes he doesn't go play defense, or he argues with the refs like Luka does, or has his own agenda, or pads the stats. He is playing better than any 41-year-old has played in the history of the NBA. But he is still 41 years old, still taking up 50. It's like a tit for tat. Conversely, yes, he's 41 years old and playing as well as a 41-year-old can do, but he's taking up $52.6 million of the cap, and you're not getting your full value on that. And that's just the bottom line. It's just, which LeBron are you going to get? Are you going to get old LeBron, or are you going to get spry LeBron? Because you will not get the LeBron James that you know and love for years every single game. It's just not physically possible, even for him. It's not. I mean, and again, good credit to him that it's even possible ever. Like, that's amazing. I mean, it really is. But I'm just tired of it. Like, even LeBron hating aside, it's exhausting to me to have, kind of like what Mark said on your stream the other day. It's exhausting having this guy's aura and to where it was so fun the first 15 games of this season, having these game winners, and Luka's out for a couple games, and Reeves averages 44 points a game and is hitting game winners and all this stuff in Minnesota. You were having Rui Hachimura was shooting 65% from the field. LaRavia had a few moments in the sun. Ayton was getting praised and talking about having a $20 million. Then he comes back, and they're slightly above 500, and now it has to be somebody else's fault. So in answer to your question with what should be done, I would do exactly what I hope. As a Laker fan, I'm rooting. I guess I'm the only one. I'm rooting hard that we do nothing. That's the smart thing to do. And that was what I said going into this year, and they've slightly exceeded my expectations. Have this be a fun year where Luka scores a bunch of points, wait for LeBron to get off of the team, get that $52 million in cap space. Plus, I think we've got total, I think you know the exact numbers, around $100 million in cap space this summer. Right now, we only have one first-round pick we can trade. In the offseason, we'll have two. You educated me. Actually, you'll have three. On the draft day,
night, right?
Yes, draft day, you will actually have three, because the Lakers can trade that 2026 pick as soon as they make the pick, which they've done previously on a few occasions this decade. And it's just the thing is, though, when you look at it, though, and I don't secretly want it to happen, but it looks like it's going to happen, where not enough is going to be done to move the needle far enough for OKC. It's just a fact of life. It's just, as much as you don't want it to happen, it looks like it's going to happen. But the fact is, again, it's just a year of Luka's prime that you could have gone back 10 years from now and say, you know what, man, I wish they would have done more in advance of that season.
I just genuinely don't think there's any, other than what we both said, Giannis. There's no move that could be made, and I don't even know how you get Giannis.
No. Yeah, I mean, not the Lakers with their expiring contracts don't. That's just not enticing enough. They only have, like you said, one first-round pick and one second-round pick and 5 pick swaps, and that's just not enough in today's NBA to get multiple players, which, again, with this roster construction the way it is, Stephan, it's just not where it needs to be. There are serious holes that not just one player.
We're running low on time here, so to set up the Rob Pelinka stuff. So we've had some fun back and forth, and it's all love for for my side. It's all good.
Same here.
And I know that as Joe was teasing me about, I'm on a cliff or an island or whatever it is that I said. I'm on an island. I'm on Rob Pelinka Island.
Well, there's Vando Island for Vanderbilt Island, and then there's Rob Pelinka Island, which
I'm
you
the
are
only
the
one
master
there.
and the ruler of right now.
Yeah,
We're gonna
it's
give
just
that to you.
me. But it's not like I started out a Rob Pelinka fan, but this constant hate that's directed at him, and I more saw it even on the Laker Nation stream, to where we have to blame somebody for the fact that in LeBron's 7 seasons with the Lakers, 5 of those 7 seasons, we didn't win a playoff series. And we missed the play-in or the playoffs, I believe, 2 of those 7 seasons. So that's a failure, and it had to be blamed on someone other than him on the court. So we have to blame the players around him. Now, all of a sudden, Anthony Davis, who was a universal top 5 player when he came to the Lakers, led us in scoring when we won the championship in Orlando. He's street clothes, which is true. I mean, he fell off a cliff with his health. But to me, on what we're talking about here, just to keep it congruent, we're talking about a gap year, and our gap year, and I understand we have high expectations as Laker fans, but our gap year, we get to watch one of the best players in the league average 34, 8, and 9, win around 50 games, maybe win a playoff series. That's our gap year. And then next year we go into the offseason with all of these assets where we can really be a championship contender. We would be idiots to do anything other than that. And the perfect example of that, you brought up the Oklahoma City Thunder, who we all believe that unless they have a major injury, which nobody roots for that, nobody's really going to realistically beat them. Look at what Sam Presti did. Sam Presti, he sat there in the cellar for 4 or 5 years.
Actually, less than that. It was actually only a season and a half. They actually had one real season of tanking, and due to Sam Presti's, he tried. Remember the bubble, they were a playoff team.
Yeah, Chris Paul.
Yeah, and Dennis Schroeder, and the start of SGA. So he had already made the initial trade with the Clippers by that time that set the franchise forward to where it is today. But he, in the year that he tanked, or year plus that he tanked, he just maneuvered just so many different acquisitions and just has now they are the best run franchise I've ever seen.
I agree.
I think without a doubt, because not only have you set yourself up for your present, you've set yourself up for future. You have talent, young talent, inexpensive talent, and you have a myriad of draft picks you can acquire talent with and still draft future talent for years to come. And it's just amazing to see. I've never seen a organization run by someone who has set this up so well as Sam Presti.
We agree, and you'll never hear me put Rob Pelinka or anyone else in Sam Presti's category. He's up there with Jerry West and Red Auerbach to me as far as general managers go. So yeah, I agree. He's the best we got doing it, and he's one of the best of all time. But my point is, he was allowed to do that. He was allowed to have the flexibility from ownership and from the fans and from the players to wait. And yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. They only had 1 or 2 seasons where they really bottomed out and fully tanked. But then the third season, they were about a 41-win team off the top of my head. I can look it up.
Yeah, it's growing because they're young teams. So, with the growing pains, but you saw growth each and every year until finally they hit the top.
So Rob would never have that opportunity because he's basically trying to do a miniature version of that and reset after having the Clutch influence on the franchise, LeBron's influence on the franchise, Jeannie Buss, if you want to blame somebody up top, I would blame her.
I can't support that because, again, she has, as that article reiterates that we talked about at the very beginning, she has given full support over the years to Rob. And actually, when it came to, she brought in Magic and Rob at the same time as president and general manager. So he's been general manager before he became president of basketball operations. He's been general manager throughout this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And he has had, because of his Kobe ties, universal love from her. And it actually, if you read that article, it goes into the fact that she has more trust in guys like him and the Rambi, aka Kurt and Linda Rambis, than she does for any of her own family members, which tells you how much leeway he's been given over the years.
Well, but Jerry, you know this, and the article alluded to this. That was my whole takeaway from the article is that, well, yes, you're right, and that's what it said, and that's my perception of it as well, is that she does definitively trust Rob Pelinka, but all of them were put at the behest of Rich Paul, aka LeBron James, and Clutch Sports. No,
well, let me ask you this: if you're a strong enough-willed GM who feels like he has full backing and a relationship with the owner, like he does, and you have the, lack of a better term, guts to go ahead and say no, you need to say no to a Westbrook trade. I drove 300 miles from California to do a specific show on the day of the Westbrook trade to say how bad that trade was. And I was spot on, and we're still paying for that trade.
We all knew it was bad. Yeah, okay. I agree.
And you know what? Rob should have had the guts to say to LeBron, no.
This so you blame...
I blame Rob for that.
What percentage blame? You give him 100% blame for that?
Oh, I give him 100% because the buck stops with Rob. I don't care about this little dinner plans that he had, that LeBron had with them, and that's all great, well, good that they had their little plan. I don't care if you have. There are GMs in sports that just don't take any BS. That say, you know what, it's my way or the highway. That I'm running this team and I'm running it my way. If Rob has that luxury of Jeannie's backing, and it could have put up a front if he wanted to, even on Clutch, the Ivica Zubats trade, you know, people say that was Magic's trade.
Yeah, that was
okay.
Magic.
He was
Magic
in the room. Who was the general manager?
Yeah,
Who
but come on, brother. Magic went on First Take, and he said that was him.
The general manager could have gone to the president and said, you know what, this is a stupid trade for Mike Muscala. And then we'll go on as far as his evaluation of talent. There's only one player that he has drafted that he kept in the 2020s that is actually a contributing player today, and that's Max Christie on the Dallas Mavericks. He is not able to go ahead with ever the scouting team, which was the buses, which of course they were unceremoniously dumped, but the Jalen Hood-Schifino, the other,
who was
the
a Clutch
Dalton Connects, the Bronny James. It doesn't. These are. Somebody should tell Rob, hey, Bronny James, I don't care if you're accommodating him or not. Bronny James is not an NBA level player. He averaged 5 points at USC and is coming off a heart attack.
Yeah.
Why do you even waste a draft pick on him?
Well, you're right,
and give him a 3-year plus an option guaranteed contract.
I know.
You give Adu Thiero this year, a guy that you traded up twice in the draft to go get, not just once in the second round, you traded twice.
Yeah.
And you gave a guy with bad knees another 3-year guaranteed contract.
You don't like Adu's game, though? I think he's got potential.
He's got bad knees. It doesn't matter if I like his game or not. You haven't seen him for 10 minutes. He's been on the floor. You and I have been on the Lakers floor almost as much as he has.
You're making my point, though. Because
several players that are currently playing right now that are playing and contributing and that were picked after Adu Thiero, just making it even worse for the Lakers because all these players could be helping fix some of the Lakers' problems because they're a poor rebounding team. They're the worst bench in the league. They can't shoot. They can't offensive rebound. They can't play defense a lot of the times. They are a statistically really poor team, and a lot of that has to go directly on Rob for constructing this roster.
Well, let me ask you, because this is interesting, and I didn't think it would go this way, but...
No worries, but all is up between Stephan.
No, that's not even what I mean. What I'm saying is I didn't think you'd take, because it sounds to me like we agree that correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I am, but all the moves you just named, except for maybe Adu, all of those we agree came from Clutch's influence, LeBron's influence. No, you're just telling me
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who brings.
Well, but no, here
he made the decision.
Let me give you the question though. The question is, I think if I'm hearing you right, which I think you just answered, is you're not disagreeing that that's where the influence came from. You're just telling me, which I could kind of get behind this if this is what you're saying, Rob should have said no. You're blaming him because he didn't put his foot down. Or are you telling me
not all of these players are Clutch related?
Because Jalen Hood-Schifino is a Clutch client. The huge client we gave to CP, or what's his name, Caldwell Pope, clutch client.
Was Alex Caruso over THT a clutch client? Alex Caruso had more talent, and it was a bigger imprint on this team, especially a championship winning team. But you cited because your talent evaluation, or you know what? The worst thing you do is have a preference to make bad decisions based off of a relationship you have with someone else. So if you're telling me that a lot of his decisions are based off of citing because it's to make Clutch happy, that makes him even a worse GM than
Well, if that's your position, then I could understand that, and I really wouldn't have.
But his overall talent evaluation is just very suspect. I didn't say he was the worst GM in the league, and so I don't want anybody to quote me that.
Well, and I'm not saying he's the best either. My position is he's a top. Average. To me, he's a top 5 to 10 GM, and I think that he's well. Can you, and I'm not even going to put you on the spot because I had to look it up, but can you tell me 5 GMs that are better? Like most of us, even diehard fans, probably can't even name 5 GMs. Honestly, I couldn't until I looked it up.
I could, right? I could.
Can you?
Yeah, okay. I could name. He's not even
that are better than
ballpark.
him.
Oh yeah.
Because I would give you, if you count Danny Ainge still, I don't know if it's him or his son. I would put Danny Ainge ahead of him. I would put Presti. I would put. Oh gosh, what's the
Boston Celtics GM right there for you?
Yeah, that's the guy I was just thinking of. Whatever his name, Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens.
Okay,
yeah,
you can talk about right now the Detroit Pistons are looking pretty good, and a lot of that has to do to roster construction from the Detroit Pistons GM. You could talk about Pat Riley, who is
if you count him as a GM, I mean he's in his 80s now, right? I don't know how much
he's been masterminding those moves for Miami for years. Do you still count him as a guy? Yeah, I would count him over.
If you count him, then I'd put him ahead of Rob. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I could also go with, like I said, Sam Presti, the San Antonio Spurs. They've been still doing a nice job all these years, and now they have themselves a top 2 team in the Western Conference.
Whoever the Rockets GM, I would probably put him ahead of. But it's once you get
Denver
to that
Rockets,
5-6
Houston
range,
Rockets, Minnesota Timberwolves. I would put.
No, I would not put the Timberwolves. No,
Tim Conley,
that Rudy Gobert trade was one of the worst trades in the history of basketball.
So you're talking about the guy who built the Minnesota team that went to the Western Conference Finals twice, and the team who built the foundation for what was to become a year or 2 later an NBA championship team in Denver. That guy is not above Rob Pelinka.
Let me tell you, because I haven't really told you my full. I think I've kind of alluded to it, but just to go on record with you with this, my position with Rob is that he has been completely handcuffed for his entire GM experience with the Los Angeles Lakers because of the and what you need to remember that neither of us have mentioned yet, it's not just that Clutch controlled LeBron. They also had AD. And so he had to appease not only LeBron, but they used AD. I remember one season a few years ago, I felt like, and I think the article alludes to this too, they didn't want to give LeBron an extension, but they were held hostage because AD wouldn't sign unless LeBron had an extension, and they were afraid of media backlash. So you're held hostage on what you can do. It's not a coincidence. And if you want to tell me, okay, he should have more backbone,
That's exactly the word I was going to use, backbone.
Well, I got it. I can't. That's a good argument if that's where you're going with it. But anybody that tells me that Rob Pelinka woke up one morning and was like, you know what I want to do? I want to trade 2 first-round picks for Russell Westbrook. And everybody else was like, I don't know, man. He's like, no, I'm doing it. That's insane. That's batshit. Pardon my language. There's zero chance.
Again,
you don't believe that, do you?
Talent evaluation skills are below average. I think he's a below average GM who's been like you said, we prefaced this a while back about the Lakers being a lucky organization at times. And you know what? The Laker fans don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that we've had that kind of luck. But you know what? He and the Lakers organization have that kind of luck. If Luka drops in your lap, that's the kind of luck.
Okay, that's LeBron, the other thing.
Back in 2017, already tells the organization, which according to that article, he did, that he's going to go to the Lakers. That's like a pick up the phone. You want to come to Lakers?
Here's the deal, though. Sure. Okay, and I know you got like 3 or 4 minutes, so I'm going to do this quick. But those the 3 things I want to tell you where I got slowly converted, because I really didn't like Pelinka when he first was involved, and I'm a Magic's was my favorite player before Kobe, so I love Magic. So I really didn't like how that went down either. But Magic tried to get the same deal done for AD and couldn't get it done. He steps down. Rob gets that deal done. That was impressive in hindsight for the same terms, basically. Then getting off of Westbrook, everybody thought it was going to take 2 first-round picks to get off of Westbrook. There was a little thing that I thought was brilliant that he did with that move, that he got off of the contract, brought in role players that got us to the Western Conference Finals that year. He gets zero credit for that. Zero.
Well,
And
why did it happen in the first place? Because
LeBron and Anthony Davis and Rich Paul pushed for it.
That again, if you have a backbone, you don't let that happen.
Yes.
Your common sense will tell you. You could tell LeBron, hey, Westbrook couldn't hit a broadside of the barn. You were guarding him in the second round of the playoffs in the bubble when he couldn't hit a broadside of the barn. This is. I
agree. The trade made no sense.
The trade itself makes no sense because the guy executing it just absolutely
my gosh. So you don't give any well, idea. You said you don't give any blame to LeBron. Last thing, and I would talk with you more about it, but I know you got to go.
But when he doesn't play defense, I'll give LeBron. And as you know, that happens quite frequently these days.
Well, I'll just say this, and this is the biggest thing. The Luka trade was so lopsided that all of us universally had the exact same reaction. I haven't asked you this, but I'm sure it was the same as mine. And
I give him credit for that. It was put in his lap. He said, "Here's Luka. What are you going to do for me?"
Here's the deal, though. It wasn't just put in his lap because so I'm in real estate, right? If somebody calls me and has a property that they want to sell me, and they say, I'm looking to get like $200,000 for it, and I know it's worth $1 million, I still have to close that deal. I have to bring it across the finish line.
Him credit. And I give him credit for closing the deal because, again, with only 1 first-round draft pick, and I said he is a below-average GM in my eyes, and has continued to be such. But he has shown, on occasion, like you said, that
he's a deal maker.
Deadline that he can get a deal done. But all the mistakes and all the his resume has a longer line of red than it does black. And unfortunately, when you lose so much money as a business and you have a couple successes, it's like what I say. Okay, you went to college, but you got a couple of A's or A pluses, but most of your career was filled with D's and F's. Does that mean you were successful in college?
Well, but what if you wrote a PhD paper that got you a Nobel Prize nomination or something? I don't know, because that's what that Luka trade was. And he whittled it down. It wasn't like it was a 2-day thing. It went on for weeks, right? To where at first there was multiple first-round picks and there was other assets, and he whittled him down. That's some of the most beautiful negotiating I've ever seen. So,
but then I could go back at you and say Alex Caruso, Ivica Zubac, because he was the general manager for that. You could say it's Magic all you want, but again, as a GM, you got to have the backbone to say no on that. The Russell Westbrook trade, the draft choices this decade, a myriad of how many players are playing in the NBA right now that could have been filled out the Lakers roster. Jay Huff was leading up until Wembanyama playing enough games. Jay Huff was leading the league in block shots. He just got a 29-9 game the other week. He was there and available for the Lakers playing, and they let him go for nothing. Scottie Pippen Jr. Was the only bright spot for Memphis in their first round playoffs against OKC last year. He was right there on the Lakers roster. And there's a myriad of players that have had the opportunity for him to capitalize on and just didn't do it.
All right.
And players that he could have gotten that have succeeded in other areas that were available. They've been waived by other teams. They were free agents that he could have gotten in.
I'm going to give you the last word out of respect and gratitude because I know you got to go. But
no worries. It's been a great conversation. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. So
likewise, Gerald. Well, thank you. And just in closing, guys, please check out Lakers Fast Break wherever you get your podcast and YouTube specifically. Also, Pop Culture Cosmos and everything that Gerald Glassford is involved with. And Gerald, thanks again for taking the time.
I look forward to it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me. And if you ever want to rehash this discussion, maybe after the trade deadline, when Rob pulls off another miraculous trade.
I don't want him to do anything. I don't want him to do anything.
Maybe he will. Maybe another Luka will fall into his lap. So maybe he'll be at dinner with another GM like John Horst of Milwaukee, say, "Do you guys want Giannis?" And he'll just like choke in his water. Like
He'll just, well, that's what we need to do. Just have him hang out in restaurants, I guess. Yeah.
exactly, indeed. But no, it's great speaking to you, Stefan. I'm wishing you and the channel so much continued success going forward, and I just cannot thank you enough for being a part of what we do at the Lakers Fast Break.
Appreciate you, brother. All right.
Appreciate it.